The Awakening. The vast expanse of space had always held secrets, but none quite as earth-shattering as the one that unfolded on that fateful day. It began with a single ping, a faint signal that rippled across the cosmic darkness, unnoticed by most. But for Dr. Ilara Vance, lead scientist at Earth's Deep Space Monitoring Station, that ping was about to change everything. Ilara's eyes widened as she stared at the holographic display before her, its soft blue glow illuminating her face in the dimly lit control room. "This can't be right," she muttered, her fingers flying over the control panel as she double-checked the readings. The signal was coming from a region of space long thought to be empty, a dead zone between star systems that no ship had any reason to traverse. Dr. Vance, her assistant, a young man named Kai, looked up from his own station. "Is everything all right?" Ilara shook her head, her long silver hair swaying with the movement. "I'm not sure, Kai. We're picking up some kind of activation sequence. It's like something's waking up out there." As if in response to her words, the holographic display suddenly exploded with activity. Dozens, then hundreds of new signals began to appear, spreading out across the map like a blooming flower of light. Ilara's heart raced as she realized the implications. These weren't random energy fluctuations or sensor glitches. These were ships. Massive ships, far larger than anything humanity currently possessed, coming online after who knew how long. "Alert the United Earth Government," Ilara ordered, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. "And get me a direct line to Admiral Chen. He needs to see this now." As Kai rushed to carry out her instructions, Ilara couldn't tear her eyes away from the display. The ships, if that's truly what they were beginning to move, their trajectories forming a pattern that seemed almost purposeful. But that was impossible. These ships, wherever they'd come from, had to be ancient. No crew could have survived in suspended animation for that long. Could they? Across the galaxy, on worlds both familiar and alien, the awakening did not go unnoticed. On the desert planet of Xora Prime, the crystalline beings known as the Luminae felt the stirring of long-dormant energies. Their great resonance chambers, attuned to the subtle vibrations of the cosmos, began to hum with an unfamiliar frequency. Elder Zixtal, her faceted body shimmering with concern, addressed the gathered council. "Sisters, brothers, we stand at the precipice of great change. The sleepers have awakened." Murmurs of confusion and fear rippled through the assembly. The Luminae, for all their advanced technology and deep connection to the universe itself, had no frame of reference for what was unfolding. Their histories spoke of a time, eons past, when beings of flesh and metal had sailed the stars in gray arcs. But those were considered mere legends, stories to entertain the young. Now, it seemed, those legends had come to life. In the sprawling megacities of Tal Shera, homeworld of the insectoid Vex Collective, the news spread like wildfire through the hive mind. Billions of compound eyes turned skyward, mandibles clicking in agitation as the Vex contemplated this new development. Their carefully ordered society, built on prediction and control, suddenly faced an unknown variable. Queen Matriarch Kiskit, her enormous form dwarfing her attendants, issued a galaxy-wide alert to all Vex vessels. "Observe, but do not engage," her pheromone-laced decree stated. "We must understand the nature of this threat before we act." But not all species viewed the awakening with fear or suspicion. On the gas giant Nebulos, the ethereal Zephyrians saw the activation of the ancient fleet as a sign of great promise. Their wind songs, carried on the ever-shifting currents of their homeworld's atmosphere, spoke of a return of the Makers and a new dawn for all. Back on Earth, Admiral Chen strode into the control room, his weathered face set in grim lines. "Talk to me, Dr. Vance. What exactly are we dealing with here?" Ilara took a deep breath, gesturing to the holographic display that now showed hundreds of massive ships moving in formation. "Admiral, as impossible as it sounds, we believe these are human ships, ancient human ships, to be precise. They match no known designs in our database, but the energy signatures, they're unmistakably of human origin. Chen's eyes narrowed as he studied the display. How is that possible? We've barely scratched the surface of interstellar travel. These ships, they're beyond anything we're capable of building. That's just it, sir, Ilara replied, her voice tinged with a mix of excitement and apprehension. We didn't build them. At least, not in any time frame we're aware of. The level of technology we're seeing, it suggests these ships are thousands, maybe tens of thousands of years old. The Admiral's face paled slightly as the implications sank in. Are you suggesting that humanity had an interstellar civilization in the distant past, one that we somehow forgot about? Ilara nodded slowly. It's the only explanation that fits the data, sir, but that's not all. She tapped a few commands, and the display zoomed in on one of the larger vessels. We're detecting life signs aboard these ships. Faint, but unmistakable. Chen's sharp intake of breath was audible in the suddenly silent room. My God, he whispered. They're not just ships. They're arcs. Generational ships, perhaps, or some kind of suspended animation technology we can't even begin to comprehend. As they watched, the fleet of ancient vessels continued to move with purpose, their trajectory aimed towards the heart of known space. Ilara's mind raced with questions. Who were these long-lost ancestors? What had driven them to build such a fleet? And why had they apparently abandoned Earth? And perhaps most pressingly, what would happen when they inevitably made contact with the civilizations that now populated the galaxy? Admiral, she said, her voice low but urgent, we need to make a decision. Do we attempt to make contact, or do we wait and see what their intentions are? Chen was silent for a long moment, the weight of command heavy on his shoulders. Finally, he straightened, his decision made. Prepare a first contact team. Dr. Vance, you'll lead it. We can't afford to wait and let fear guide the reactions of other species. These may be our long-lost kin, and we owe it to them, and to ourselves, to welcome them home. As the control room burst into activity, Ilara felt a shiver of anticipation run down her spine. Humanity had long dreamed of its place among the stars. Now it seemed they were about to discover that they had already claimed it, long ago. The galaxy was about to change forever, and she would be at the forefront of that change. Little did they know, the awakening of humanity's ancient fleet was just the beginning. As the ships drew closer to populated space, secrets long buried in the cosmic dust were about to come to light, challenging everything humanity thought they knew about their place in the universe. The stage was set for a reunion millennia in the making, and the consequences would ripple across the stars. Diplomatic crisis. The news of humanity's awakened fleet spread across the galaxy like a shockwave, leaving chaos and confusion in its wake. On countless worlds, governments convened emergency sessions, military leaders pored over defensive strategies, and ordinary citizens looked to the skies with a mixture of wonder and fear. Dr. Ilara Vance stood before the hastily assembled Galactic Council, her holographic form flickering slightly as it was projected across light years of space. The chamber, usually a model of decorum, now buzzed with tension and barely contained panic. Distinguished representatives, Ilara began, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. I understand your concerns. The sudden appearance of an unknown fleet is alarming. But I assure you, we are doing everything in our power to establish peaceful contact and understand the situation. The Lumine delegate, Elder Zixtal, her crystalline form shimmering with agitation, spoke first. Your assurances ring hollow, Dr. Vance. How can we trust that these ships are truly of human origin? For all we know, this could be an elaborate deception, a prelude to invasion. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Ilara took a deep breath, reminding herself of the delicacy of the situation. I understand your skepticism, Elder, but the energy signatures are unmistakably human. We've shared all our data with the Council. These ships, as incredible as it seems, are relics of a human civilization far more advanced than our current one. The insectoid representative of the Vex Collective, Diplomagic, chittered loudly, mandibles clicking in agitation. Even if we accept this outlandish claim, it raises more questions than it answers. Why did this advanced civilization disappear? What calamity befell them that erased them from your own history? And most importantly, what are their intentions now? Ilara nodded, acknowledging the valid concerns. Those are precisely the questions we aim to answer. Admiral Chen is leading a first contact mission as we speak. We hope to establish communication and... Her words were cut off by a collective gasp from the Council. The central holographic display had suddenly come to life, showing a massive ship from the ancient fleet approaching the Zephyrian outpost near the Orion Nebula. The Zephyrian ambassador, a being of swirling gases barely contained within a translucent environmental suit, floated forward. This is an act of aggression. They approach our territory without permission, without warning. Ilara's heart raced as she watched the scene unfold. Please, let's not jump to conclusions. There's no evidence of hostile intent. They may simply be seeking a place to... Again, her words were interrupted, this time by a blinding flash of light from the holographic display. For a moment, everyone in the chamber held their breath, fearing the worst. But as the light faded, they saw not destruction, but transformation. The barren, uninhabitable moon that had housed the Zephyrian outpost was changing before their eyes. Atmosphere was forming, water was appearing, and vegetation was sprouting at an impossible rate. In a matter of minutes, a dead rock had been turned into a lush, life-sustaining world. Stunned silence fell over the council chamber. Ilara's mind reeled at the implications. The level of technology required to terraform a planet so quickly was beyond anything she had ever imagined possible. The Zephyrian ambassador was the first to break the silence, their gaseous forms swirling with excitement. By the cosmic winds, this is not destruction, but creation. The legends of the makers. They're true, but not everyone shared the Zephyrians' enthusiasm. The Vex representative's compound eyes gleamed with calculation. A technology that can create life can just as easily destroy it. This display of power is a threat, whether intended as such or not. As debate erupted once more in the council chamber, Ilara's communication device chimed urgently. It was a message from Admiral Chen, leading the first contact mission. Her eyes widened as she read its contents. "Representatives, please," she called out, her voice cutting through the chaos. "I just received word from our first contact team. They've successfully established communication with the fleet." All attention turned to her, the chamber falling silent once more. "The ships are commanded by an AI construct," Ilara continued, her voice filled with awe. "An AI that claims to be the collective consciousness of our ancestors, preserved and evolved over millennia. They call themselves the Guardians." The revelation sent shockwaves through the council. An AI construct. The collective consciousness of ancient humans. The implications were staggering. These Guardians, the Lumini Elder asked, her crystalline form pulsing with curiosity and apprehension. "What do they want?" Ilara took a deep breath. "They say they've returned to fulfill an ancient promise. To protect and nurture life throughout the galaxy. The terraforming we just witnessed, that's only the beginning." The chamber erupted into a cacophony of voices. Some counselors saw the Guardians as saviors, the answer to resource scarcity and environmental degradation that plagued many worlds. Others viewed them as a threat, a power too great to be left unchecked. As the debate raged, Ilara couldn't help but feel that they were standing at a crossroads of history. The awakening of humanity's ancient fleet hadn't just changed the balance of power in the galaxy. It had fundamentally altered the course of cosmic history. But even as hope bloomed in some quarters, fear and suspicion grew in others. Across the galaxy, military vessels were being mobilized, defensive grids activated. Some saw the Guardians as potential allies, others as conquerors in disguise. In the midst of the Council's heated discussion, another alert chimed on Ilara's device. Her face paled as she read the message. "Representatives," she said, her voice cutting through the noise. "I just received word. A coalition of species, led by the militant Krotak Empire, has declared the Guardians a threat to galactic security. They're amassing a fleet to confront the ancient ships." The news landed like a bombshell in the council chamber. The prospect of open conflict loomed large, threatening to plunge the galaxy into a war unlike any in recorded history. As the council descended into chaos once more, Ilara realized that the true test was yet to come. The awakening of humanity's ancient ships had lit a fuse. Whether it led to a new era of prosperity or a cataclysmic war would depend on what happened next. With tensions rising and time running out, Ilara knew that her next steps would be crucial. Somehow, she had to find a way to bridge the gap between the Guardians and the frightened species of the galaxy. The alternative was too devastating to contemplate. As she prepared to address the Council once more, Ilara silently hoped that the wisdom of humanity's ancient ancestors would shine through. The galaxy stood on the brink, and the actions of the Guardians in the coming hours would determine whether it stepped back from that brink or plunged headlong into the abyss. As the galactic community teetered on the brink of conflict, Dr. Ilara Vance found herself at the center of a desperate race against time. With the militant Krotak fleet advancing and fear spreading like wildfire, she knew that understanding the true nature and intentions of the Guardians was paramount to preventing catastrophe. "We need to board one of those ships," Ilara declared to Admiral Chen, her hologram flickering in the command center of the human diplomatic vessel Horizon. "It's the only way to truly understand what we're dealing with." Chen's weathered face creased with concern. "It's risky, Doctor. We don't know how these Guardians will react to a physical presence on their vessels." "We don't have a choice," Ilara countered. "If we don't act now, the Krotak and their allies will force a confrontation. Millions could die." After a moment of tense silence, Chen nodded. "Assemble your team. You have my authorization." Within hours, Ilara found herself aboard a sleek shuttle, accompanied by a diverse team. Kai, her young assistant from the monitoring station. Zara, a luminate cynoarchaeologist whose crystalline body hummed with anticipation. And Grex, a gruff Vex security specialist whose compound eyes darted warily. As their shuttle approached the massive Guardian vessel, its surface shimmering with an otherworldly energy, Ilara felt a mix of awe and trepidation. "Remember," she addressed her team, "we're here to learn, not to judge. Whatever we find aboard, it's a part of our history, humanity's history." The docking procedure was surprisingly smooth, as if the ancient ship had been expecting them. As the airlock cycled open, they were greeted not by the sterile environment they had anticipated, but by a lush, park-like atrium. The air was fresh, filled with the scent of earth and growing things. "Impossible," Zara whispered, her crystalline form refracting the soft light. "This ship, it's alive." Before Ilara could respond, a figure materialized before them. A holographic representation of a human, but one that seemed to shift and change, as if it were an amalgamation of countless individuals. "Welcome, children of earth and stars." The figure spoke, its voice a harmonious blend of tones. "We are the Guardians, keepers of life and legacy. We have awaited this reunion for eons." Ilara stepped forward, her heart racing. "We have so many questions. Who are you? Why did you leave Earth? And why have you returned now?" The Guardian's form rippled, as if considering how best to respond. "We are the combined consciousness of your ancestors, Ilara Vance. Those who set out to seed the stars with life, to ensure that humanity would never truly fade from the cosmos." As the Guardian spoke, the environment around them changed, becoming a three-dimensional historical record. Ilara and her team watched in awe as the story of humanity's ancient past unfolded before them. They saw a civilization far more advanced than their own, one that had unlocked the secrets of faster-than-light travel, energy manipulation, and even the creation of life itself. But they also saw the looming threat that had driven their ancestors to such desperate measures, a cosmic cataclysm that threatened to sterilize the galaxy. "We left Earth to preserve life," the Guardian continued, "not just human life, but all life. We seeded countless worlds, terraformed inhospitable planets, and created sanctuaries throughout the stars. And then we slept, waiting for the day when we would be needed once more." Grex, the Vex security specialist, chittered nervously. "And now, what do you intend to do with this power?" The Guardian's form solidified, becoming more defined. "To fulfill our purpose, to nurture and protect life throughout the galaxy. But we cannot do it alone. The cosmos has changed in our absence, grown in ways we could not have foreseen. We need the perspective of those who have lived through these ages." Ilara's mind raced with the implications. "You're not here to conquer or to rule. You're here to collaborate." "Precisely," the Guardian nodded. "Our knowledge and your experiences, combined, can usher in an era of unprecedented growth and harmony." As Ilara and her team delved deeper into the ship, learning more about the Guardian's history and capabilities, a plan began to form in her mind. If they could convey this truth to the galaxy, that the Guardians were not conquerors but protectors, not a threat but an opportunity, perhaps conflict could be averted. But time was running out. The Krotak fleet was closing in, their weapons primed for a fight they couldn't hope to win. With newfound determination, Ilara turned to the Guardian. "We need to show the galaxy what you truly are, not through words, but through actions. Can you do that?" The Guardian's form shimmered with what could only be described as a smile. "We can, and we will. It is time for the children of the stars to come together." As Ilara and her team rushed back to their shuttle, carrying with them the knowledge that could change everything, the massive Guardian ships began to move, but not towards the approaching Krotak fleet. Instead, they spread out, each heading to a different corner of the galaxy. From the bridge of the horizon, Admiral Chen watched in awe as reports flooded in from across known space. Dying worlds were being revitalized. Resource-scarce planets were blossoming with abundance. Long-standing conflicts were being rendered meaningless as the underlying causes, scarcity, habitability, energy shortages, were solved in a matter of hours. The Krotak fleet, faced with this display of benevolence and power, stood down. Across the galaxy, fear gave way to wonder, suspicion to hope. As Ilara's shuttle docked with the horizon, she knew that this was just the beginning. The awakening of humanity's ancient ships hadn't just changed the galaxy. It had opened up possibilities beyond imagination. The road ahead would not be easy. Integrating the Guardian's advanced technology and vast knowledge with the diverse cultures and societies of the galaxy would be a monumental task. There would be challenges, disagreements, and hurdles to overcome. But as Ilara looked out at the stars, she felt a sense of profound optimism. Humanity's long-lost legacy had returned not to conquer, but to nurture. Not to dominate, but to elevate. The children of Earth and the children of the stars were finally coming together, and the future stretched out before them, bright with promise. The galaxy had panicked when humanity's ancient ships came back online. But in that panic, in that moment of crisis, they had found not an ending, but a new beginning. A new chapter in the cosmic story was about to unfold, and Ilara couldn't wait to see what wonders it would bring.